it's your girl Simranjeet Mann here, and I am showing you a day in my life as a trainee solicitor in real estate. So for those of you who don't know, real estate is actually a really versatile area of law. It's an area that encompasses so many different subgroups, which is why I love this practice area so much. So for example, in my seat at the moment, some of the things that I'm involved in is public sector work. I am involved in asset management. I am involved in work with developers and investors. I'm also involved in real estate finance matters, as well as landlord-tenant relationships as well. So within real estate, there are so many different things and areas that I can get involved in, all relating to property. Now let's jump into my actual day. Like every single day, I start off with my to-do list and I sort out any emails that have come in from the day before. So I sort out my emails in terms of action and general. Action being those emails that need to be actioned, and general are emails for me to read, but there are no action points. So once it's put in the general folder, I don't need to consider that email anymore. Now let's jump into the actual bits of work that I was doing today. Now, of course, I can't go into complete detail because of client confidentiality and I would lose my job. But firstly, I start off with filling out an update report for a big client that we work for. This table essentially provides the fee earners that I'm working with an update on where we are at with all the different matters that are happening for this project. One reason why I really like this task is because it allows me to reflect on all the progress that's happened for this matter so far, all the matters that I've been involved in, and it also kind of reminds me as well, are there any points where I need to send a chaser? Are there any further action points? And then, like every other trainee, you're going to end up doing this at some point. I did some printing for a colleague. One thing that I try and do when I am printing out documents is actually try and read what's happening, read the documents while it's being printed out to give you a bit of an insight. So I just helped out a colleague with something, and I don't know, my colleague's a bit nice. She just called me a star after it, and I feel very gassed. Next up, I am submitting some land registry applications. So for those of you who are aware with real estate, you'll know all about the land registry. For those of you who aren't, so when we are submitting any new application, so for example, say if two parties have entered into a lease, we then need to register that lease with the land registry so it is noted on the title. This application that I'm talking about in particular, I was registering a transfer and a legal charge at the land registry. Next up, it's always time for a bit of a coffee break. What me and the other trainees do is really cute. We always go together and we go and get a coffee. It's a nice break away from the desk. I personally don't drink coffee, so I'm always getting a hot chocolate. Then I got back to my desk and I finished submitting those land registry applications that I talked about. That took around 40 minutes in total, as I was printing out some documents to sign and then scanning those documents back in, reviewing the documents, and then uploading around 10 to 11 documents within each application. So it was quite a complicated application, and attention to detail was really key here to make sure that no document was forgotten. My next task was again in relation to the land registry. I was resubmitting an application that was previously cancelled. So basically, when the land registry cancels or sends you a requisition, it's essentially saying thank you for your application, but this point is not correct, and we need you to amend it before we can progress further with your application. So this application had previously gotten cancelled because we didn't reply to the requisition. This application was cancelled due to something that was written in the original lease. So I had to then go upstairs and go through loads and loads of boxes to try and find that original lease. I called my colleague for help, and she provided information on where those additional boxes could be, so I'm not just walking around the whole office trying to find something that may not even be there. I was quite lucky. I found the lease, which was great. I think it took me around 7 boxes of searching, but I got there in the end. I then sent a manuscript copy of the lease. So manuscript copy is essentially when the lease has already been signed, but you make an amend to the lease after it's been signed, and it's also an amend that the other side solicitors have also agreed to. I guess the key skill that I've shown here is direct contact with the other side solicitors with minimal supervision. I then attended some training on DocuSign. So DocuSign is a really great thing, especially in the pandemic, where sending hard copies of documents to the client has been very difficult for them to get signed because we're not working in the office as much anymore. I think DocuSign really does allow us to work from home and ensure that documents still get signed and completed. And then it was finally lunchtime. Our canteen is actually sick. I rate our canteen so much. Hello, I want to quickly interrupt this day in the life with a quick promo video. I am so grateful and thank you to LESSGO for sponsoring this video today. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I am really excited to talk about this app. Do you remember the good old days? Well, I clearly don't because I was born in 97, but everyone who's older than me talks about the good old days where people actually used to talk on the tube, where people used to meet up in person rather than having to rely on a phone call or texting individuals. Now, LESSGO is trying to bring this good era back, but with a modern twist. The aim and objective of LESSGO is to encourage more offline living rather than living online. So essentially what the app does is uses social media to allow you to meet new people, create events, and really build your own networks. So in the app, I'll show you a few screenshots. You can explore different meets that are available. Now here's a good selection of meets that I found simply just by scrolling down the page. We have an NFT club, very snazzy with the times. We have an influencers meetup as well. This is great. Just like the one that I hosted with Kajol and Veer, Devamsha and Tanvi earlier last year. And of course, for you sporting people out there as well, there are sports meets available, just like badminton that I've shown on the screen now as well. The opportunities are endless, and I hope you can see from the meets that I've shown available that these motives and events are available to people of all ages. Now, one really unique feature about LESSGO that's recently been introduced is you can now create your own clubs. Now, to give you an example, I've created one called the Mann, and in this club I can create my own meets. So these are events that I've created purely for people who are part of my club, and within that I can create my own networking events, I can create my own socials, just like the coffee catch up, the informal one that I've mentioned earlier that I had with my other YouTube pals. Now, I'm aiming to host my first meet very soon in this year, so that should be enough incentive to you to download the app and give it a go. You can find details about the app in the video description below. Right, so now we've just had lunch and the afternoon is starting. I'd say roughly it's probably around 1:30/2 p.m. at the moment, and I start off my afternoon with redacting a lease. The reason why we were redacting this lease is because there were certain clauses in there that we wish to keep secret. Gone are the days, I remember as a paralegal, when I had to actually get a black marker and keep on marking the redacted clause, scanning it in, marking it again with the black ink, scanning it in again, and making sure that when you hold it up in the light you cannot see any words. My next task was actually drafting a statutory declaration and warning notice. A few of you may remember during the LPC and also during land law about the 1954 Act and how in leases sometimes the parties may decide to contract out of the 1954 Act. And then after I did this, I had a meeting with some of the other real estate trainees around the country. It's quite cute. We've made a bit of a group and we have meetings bi-weekly where we just discuss any issues and we just catch up really. It's always been such a nice chat with these lovely ladies. Shout out to them, I think they're great. After this meeting, I was then involved in downloading some documents. So this is where a bit of the real estate finance work came in. There are some documents that were located in a data room and it was my job to download them and save them onto our local folder, incorporating the same folder structure as it was in the data room. Then those documents then get reviewed later on. And I know it sounds like quite a menial task, but if I missed out a single document, then that would mean that document would not get reviewed, and that would mean that it wouldn't be a comprehensive data review. So again, attention to detail is really, really important here to make sure that you don't miss out any documents when you're downloading them. And then around 4 p.m, it was nearing to the end of the day, and I thought I would make a start on this lease report for a matter. And this is a matter that I've been working on from the start. It was essentially a lease, and we were acting for the landlord. Now, what we do in these situations is also draft a lease report. Now, what a lease report is, it's a document that we give to our client that explains in layman's terms the key provisions of the lease. So then if the client has any issues or has any questions in the future about the lease, they can then refer to this document, which then explains to them very, very clearly about what certain clauses mean. To finish off the day, I did a bit of work for an upcoming social that we've got coming up. So that was essentially my working day, and I finished around 5:30 today. Usually I finish around 5:45, 6, and I go with the other trainees and we go and grab a drink or like have a bite to eat after work. But this time I was in a real rush to go and get my COVID jab, my booster jab. I don't know why my man injected my shoulder. Thanks so much for watching the vlog. I hope you had a lot of fun watching it, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.